potential from the very mother that birthed them and the other images that they see around them. And so there are a number of women who actually do skip up. They think that motherhood is about, this, okay, it's all the kids, but they'll find at some point that doesn't meet it for them. And that's when that's when they start experiencing things like feeling unfulfilled or getting frustrated or taking it out on their spouses or significant others or taking it out on the child. Those are all symptoms of not being settled with who they are. And if there's anything, like for your listeners, if there's anything that I would like to at least encourage moms to know is they are enough, that they don't have to try to be like somebody else, that their child is theirs for a reason, and that though we're not perfect, what they are and who they are is going to be enough, because if they engage in the process of just learning about themselves, learning about their child, something beautiful is going to happen on the other side. So my hope is for folks to, yes, see themselves first, because if you don't understand who you are, then you won't know what you're giving or how you can give it better. That's my contention. That's what I've seen just in the clinical work that I've done. When folks tell me their stories over and over again, and I see the things and hear the things that they're struggling with, it usually comes down to they've had a misconception, back to that first riff, a misconception about who they are and what this whole motherhood thing is.
And is it fair to say, or here's a quick image that popped in my head between, father and mother, is that men will be, and a lot of, obviously, I'm giving my perspective, is you'll be much more worried about how you're viewed as a provider in terms of material things.
Yes.
And the mother, it goes far deeper, because it's, your being. Do you match up to whatever images you see on TV or what you believe?
Yes.
Someone else, whether or not they're putting up just a good appearance, or are they really that together and thoughtful? That's much deeper. I mean, because, if you're into using how you provide as your measuring stick, well, you actually can just work longer hours and kind of keep looking for a better paying job, and suddenly you're air quotes fulfilled,
right,
in your mission. But if it's who you are and there is that scrutiny, that's a whole different yardstick to try and measure up against.
Yes. And Dave, the book could have been longer because there were so many, just everything that you're talking about is stuff I wanted to be able to go into, but I didn't for this juncture. But you're absolutely correct. It's for women. It's the core of their being. Like how you said earlier, that's how biologically we're made. And so in essence, everything's going to, come forth from that. So that's why I think it's important for understanding self first, because that's where you get your bearings, and then you can, parcel out the stuff that you need to parcel out for your children.
Wow, this is like I said, this is, anytime I'm a little quiet here, it's because it's kind of a mental, deep breath. You're taking your, and background for everybody, I've got 4 kids. They're 13, 14 going on 15, 17 going on 18, and one that just turned 20. So, and they're all very different. We've been through a lot of things, sports, school, and my wife and I play, complementary but very different roles, in what, academically, she's all about the language and I'm all about the numbers. Believe it, and she's more of an introvert, and yes, since I'm on the radio, I must be the extrovert.
There you go.
Yes, she was more of a solo sport person. I was more of a team sport person. So it has turned out that we kind of each we don't have to fight over the kids. And again, they're different enough that there's no way we can see them as a vehicle to fulfill some goals that we never achieved, to be honest. And we're too busy with 4 of them. But the way you've described it, just kind of finding things to consider. And I really have taken that. I've written it down a few times here. Is considering things to see how it sinks in, to try it on, and not, we all want a game plan. We all want an outline that says do this, but that it rarely helps us the way we think it will. And unfortunately, it's the looser structure that, freedom isn't for free. When someone says, well, you get to choose, but there's a price for that, is that you have to choose. You just can't move forward. Let me ask you, you mentioned that in trying to get the books, focused, and I think that is to write a concise book, whether it's 110 or 300 pages, is something. If you can keep it, on, topic with something that really is, can change a person, for themselves. Do you have other books because of this that, just in topic of, like, where, again, you mentioned some places to go to, but are there some, I'll put you on the spot a little bit here. We've got about 8 or 9 minutes to go, but what are some other things that you think are maybe worth the time, again, to really put all the effort you did to package it up in terms of a focus, yet it's loose, and that someone can really own what's in there and make it their own?
Yeah, what I wanted to do, well, first off, I have like 3 other books in the queue, meaning that I have rough outlines, but I'm not diving into them yet. Because as I mentioned at the outset of our time together today, I'm really passionate about young people. So I do want to get to them, but I really feel a burden right now to help moms who are raising the next generation. So what I've done is I'm putting together and offering more workshops that I'm being asked to come deliver, whether it's to mom groups, community organizations. I've linked up with some organizations here in North Carolina that are specifically helping single moms right now. So that's kind of what I'm in the midst of doing right now, because I know that, look, this is loose. This is just to get people started in the conversation, and then my plan is to do stuff online, because I really am trying to just get the word out to reach more people, to get them the help, because not everyone can come to my office or come to another counselor or mental health clinician, and so I want to just make it accessible. I don't want folks to feel like help is not there and that there's no one there to support them. So that's what's on my burner right now.
Right, but now on your website, though, you have a blog. You talk about speaking engagements and workshops. Yes. So what are tell us a little bit about those things, especially those that may be in the Carolinas that may have direct access to you.
Yeah, the blogs that I have are thoughts that I've put together regarding communication. That's one of the areas that people miss it and contribute to the rifts. So I'm starting a series of blogs around the communication. The other stuff that I have on my blog pertain to how to protect your young person against abuse, because a funny quick story, it's not funny, but a quick story, when I started writing this book last year in July, I basically dove headfirst into just writing, and I wrote feverishly from July until December. And when I finished handing in my manuscript to my editor, I then turned on the news and saw all the stuff that was going on with the women's gymnastics team and Allie Raceman, and I thought, oh my God, this is like so timely. because of the stuff that I experience and the stuff that I cover in the book. So a lot of the other stuff in my blogs has to do with, protecting your kids against abuse. I'm starting a Speak from the Heart speaking tour. That's starting here in North Carolina, and I'm actually, sorry, correction. The first one is going to be in New Jersey, which is where I went to school at Rutgers. So I'm going back to Rutgers, which is going to be really neat on September 27th. For those folks out who are in New Jersey land, I'll be there September 27th, and then starting the Speaking from the Heart tour, where I will be talking to moms all over about things pertaining to the book, and then really just help them get into a dialogue about how they want to go about improving their relationships with each other.
Excellent. Yeah. And I like that you mentioned getting into a dialogue because, as I told you before, we had an outline for our discussion, but it's just there to kind of rein us in because it's a dialogue.
Right.
That is what makes things stick, and that's where. And I wrote down one last thing here because, as I mentioned before, can't believe it. Our time is just about up here.
Jeez, right.
It does fly by, but. You mentioned that you felt the need to write this book to take care of the moms first, but kids are top on your list, and that's all throughout your bio.
Yes.
People take the time to read your story. It's an excellent one, excuse me, on the website. But you talk all about how, from the young man that you met once upon a time, that's how you knew what you wanted to do. But this is something you have to do first, if you will.
Yes.
But what occurred to me was, though, what better thing can you do for a kid than to help out, get their parents in a better way, in a better place?
Yes.
There isn't anything.
Yes, and because I know what it was like when I was young, and I felt like no one understood what was going on, and there were times I would wish that my mom would just get me. And there was no one there to, come alongside her to say, hey, you have a really good kid there, or maybe you want to reconsider how you're seeing her. There was no one there like that. And I really want to be that for the young people. And that's why I'm focusing on the moms. As I said in the book, I give shout outs to dads. And I do believe that they're vitally important to raising the next generation also. And there have been a number of people who've told me how this book has actually helped them in their relationships with their husbands because it's forced them to see their husband through different eyes. So I'm just trying to help, really.
And I think you are. And I'm not making light when I say, the phrase, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, which we all do say to my wife's face here. Like, be like, okay, we got to make her happy. But it really is an important part of the household dynamic, and it's not just because she should get her way. It really has to do with she's the one that literally created the family, if you will, versus a marriage, which are two totally different things. And her connection to my daughters, I can't say. I think I'm extremely close to my daughters, but there's no way I can say that I have a closer bond. And not because they're girls, but because, again, that's what the mother is in every family. So I think that, and all of us guys know, those that will admit to it, is that it's not about who's in charge. It's about kind of where does the happiness begin, the connection, if you will. Right. And when you see the kids are in a good way, it's because it's reflective generally of the mother. And that's what then brings, dad and mom closer together, and the dad to say, I'm, engaging more with the kids as a group and things like that. So it's a huge part of the family dynamic. And I don't and I said, and there's the shout outs for the dad are good, because we are part of it. It's not one or the other. So, Dr. Deering, Michelle, I think that this was just a really a really great discussion, and I really thank you for the time and for sharing your personal stories, because that's